Hello, good evening, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast live with me, your host, Aaron James. Guys, welcome on board. Another night of talking all things Rangers. Guys, get your thoughts, comments, questions in the live chat, of course. What is going on with this club at this moment in time? You know what? It's a difficult one, isn't it? You're trying to obviously maintain as positive a element as possible towards the club. You're trying to stay as positive as possible when it comes to the club. You're trying to, keep it optimistic. You're trying to keep it, looking forward to a new season. You're trying to put all these positives in, aren't you? But it is difficult at this moment in time with a lot of obviously not so great news coming out of the club as regards finances, as regards the stadium, as regards, of course, the situation with the board. There's just an awful lot going on at this moment in time. Caleb, welcome from a warm Spain. Welcome to a absolutely tipping it down with rain England, where it hasn't come home. Evening, Owen, and chat. Evening to Stuart as well. So, what before we get on with the pod tonight, which obviously looking more to Q&A, guys, if you've got any questions, obviously get them in. Evening, Janet, how you doing? Evening to DL2. So at the moment, guys, even Stephen, how you doing, pal? Good to have you here. Look, I think, where we're up to at this moment in time, it's been announced tonight that Hampden has been agreed as Rangers home up until early September. It was announced today that the games against Ross County, the game against Motherwell, will take place at Hampden Park. The agreement is in place for Rangers to use Hampden Park up until the 5th of September, which is when Scotland play against Poland in the UEFA Nations League. So the Hampden will be our home until the 5th of September. So look, that seems to be the situation as it is. It has had an impact. Evening, Stephen, has had an impact on Queen's Park and their fixtures. But you know what? It is what it is, guys. It is a situation where we will have to use Hampden Park for those qualifiers for the Champions League. We'll have to use them for the league fixtures. It's not ideal. It's not ideal in the slightest. Hampden Park is not the stadium that Ibrox is. It does not have the atmosphere of Ibrox. The crowd are too far away from the pitch. The view is often shit at Hampden. So look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Apparently, we are also paying towards the pitch regeneration as well. Rangers have agreed to fund the quick grow pitch. That's something that's been fitted apparently as well. So apparently not only are we paying to rent Hampden, we are also paying as well towards having the pitch relayed. So yeah, well done Rangers board. Again, another fantastic move by coming out and saying, look, we are, we were behind on the stadium. We've done that on the cheap. We try to get some cheap steel in, some cheap blocks in. That put us behind because we're trying to save the club money. Well, we've actually ended up costing the club a whole lot more money. Well done, guys. Absolutely fucking well done. You are a bunch of superstars. You really are a bunch of absolutely clueless muppets. Stuart says, well done to Clement for coming out and telling the fans the clubs don't have cash to spend. Stuart, that is a good point. Airwolf backs it up as well by he says that Bennett needs to speak. And I think that for me is one of the biggest thing as well. I honestly don't know, Ricardo. Honestly don't know. Absolutely 100%. It's good to hear someone being honest at what's going on at Rangers. P. Curry says, I'm furious right now. What the fuck is actually happening? We look like a fucking amateur club right now. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Look, I think the biggest problem for me, guys, going forward is the fact that Bennett, that Park Jr., that whoever is not talking to the fans. They are not communicating with the fans. They are not letting the fans know what's going on. They are not keeping the fans up to speed with the developments around the ground, around the rebuild, around everything else. The board are maintaining a silence. Now, the problem when you maintain a silence is that people will report what they want. People will read into those reports as they do, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm not guilty of that as anyone. Everybody is guilty of that. Look, if you don't know what's going on, you can only kind of try and surmise from what you're hearing from people at the club, from other sources, from official club partners like Heart and Hand, from people like Four Lads, from people like Rangers Review. What you're hearing from those guys, the guys who are insiders at the club, the guys that have a handle on what's going on at the club, The issue is just that the board are not talking to the fans. And as I said on the video earlier that I put out, football is a business. Football is a business, and this is a horrible way to talk about football, and I hate what I'm about to say. And please don't think ill of me for saying this, but unfortunately, football is a business now, and football is a business, and we are its customers. And when you have a problem with your business, you talk to your customers. You keep your customers on side. You keep your customers up to speed. You allow your customers to know what is going on. You do not keep your customers in the dark. You do not stay silent, because if you do, you will turn your customers away from your business. Something that the Rangers board don't seem to realise. Now, given the fact that these guys are all businessmen and very successful businessmen, given the fortunes they've made in business, it seems to me utterly ludicrous that they aren't coming out and communicating. I work in business. I work in the private sector. I work for a very big retail company. And one of the things that we have to do as a big retailer is we have to keep our customers up to date with all the latest developments. We cannot stay silent for months upon end about what we are doing as a business, or if we have issues as a business, because we'd go under. The business would fold. So that's the situation, and Rangers are not communicating with its fans, and that to me is criminal, absolutely criminal. Darren says here, one question that needs answered: who the hell sanctioned the rebuild of Ibrox when we have a squad to rebuild? That's beyond criminal. Ross Wilson says has lots to answer for. He does have a lot to answer for. I think Ross Wilson is part of the issue. He is part of the problem. Ross Wilson is the man who obviously took part in the acquisition of certain players, the giving out of contracts to certain players. The fact that we've got players who are on vastly inflated sums of money for ludicrously long contracts. You've got a situation where, as I pointed out earlier on the podcast and the Rabble, which Rabble ignored, but that's as is their right. But I said that, look, at the end of the day, we've got players who we are deeming as not good enough. Now the issue is, if you deem a player as not good enough, other clubs will listen to that and think, well, what the hell's wrong with that player? Well, if he's not good enough for them, why the hell do I want him? And why the hell am I going to pay him that much money? And the player's going to sit there and think, well, okay, I can sit at Rangers until 2026, 2027 on £27,000 a week, on £38,000 a week, on £30,000 a week, on £22,000 a week. Why would I want to leave and go somewhere where I'm going to get half that amount of money, or even less than half that amount of money? They're not going to move. And that's the issue with Brandon. Ross Wilson has a lot to answer for, but not just Ross Wilson. I think John Bennett gets away very easily with some people because, obviously Douglas Park was the chairman. Stuart Robertson was the CEO at the time. And, they get a lot of the blame, and rightly so. But John Bennett was the vice chairman to Douglas Park. John Bennett was part of that decision-making process post-55. John Bennett was part of the decision-making process for Australia. John Bennett would have signed off on Goldson's contract. He would have signed off on Tav's contract. He would have signed off on all those deals and contracts, Dessers, Lamas, etc., etc. He is as much to blame as Douglas Park, as Stuart Robertson, and as Ross Wilson, in my opinion. Grow Scotland, just be single like me. It's the best way. The board are a big joke. Now, I think the real reason Bisgrove done a runner is because the board said there is now cash for the rebuild. It could well be a possibility. Perhaps Bisgrove didn't want to have to put up with all the crap. As CEO, he would have been the public face of the club. He'd have had to go out and speak to the fans, go out and speak to the media. He'd want to have to take all the crap. But John Bennett's obviously assimilated that role as CEO, and he isn't speaking to the media. He isn't speaking to the fans. He isn't speaking to anybody at this moment in time. He's become more reclusive than Osama bin Laden was. We are the most successful team in football. We need to do better. Absolutely, Caleb. Congratulations to Ewan, who is a channel member for 13 months. Ewan, loyalty like that, mate, is absolutely welcome. Thank you so much indeed for your loyalty. Why are we still holding on to players who have passed their sell-by date and keeping them like they're antiques in your loft? Good question. I'm worried where this club is going. Stephen Gillespie, thank you so much for that. Fantastic. If you're not a member of the channel, get yourself a membership. Obviously, click on allow gifts and you can have a membership. Stephen has gifted you a membership. Good, Ewan, how are you? Airwolf, good point. Who sanctioned that? Ross Wilson, John Bennett, Douglas Park. The problem, Airwolf, aren't we all, buddy? Aren't we all? The problem we've got tonight, and I think the problem we've got going forward, is that Clement's honesty is very much to be admired. I've heard a lot now. I've listened to other podcasts. Today, I was off work today, so I've listened to Rangers Review this morning. I didn't listen to it live. I listened to it on the catch-up. I've listened to Rabble. I've listened to a bit of Rangers Journal today. And I think the thing that we're all kind of needing to realise, Clement needs time. He needs time. Now, it's whether he's going to be given that time. And people talk about the fact that, if we lose the first Old Firm game of the season on the 1st of September, which will be live here on the channel, guys, then we're in a position where he's going to be under pressure. The moment you lose to Celtic, the moment you are unsuccessful against Celtic, you put yourself under pressure. The moment you fall behind them by any substantial number of points in the league, you put yourself under pressure. That's just the way it is in Scotland. That's the way it is in Glasgow. We know that Glasgow is a goldfish bowl. We know that the fans of the Old Firm have very little patience. But I would say this: I think Clement needs patience. He needs time. If he goes into, let's say we go into that Old Firm on the 1st of September and the transfer window will be closed by then, and we've brought in very little other extra players to add to the ones we've already brought in, and he's stuck pretty much with the first team that runs out at Parkhead of Jack Butland, James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Suter, Ridvan Yilmaz, Diamande, Barron, Sterling, Lawrence, Cortez, and let's say Dessers, right? That's the team that runs out on the 1st of September because that's what he's got. That's all he's got. Then I genuinely don't think we can hold to account Clement for that. He can only do what he can with the players that he's got. I remember someone saying to me, you can't polish a turd. Absolutely, you can't polish a turd. You can't polish it. At the end of the day, you can try your best. You can push your players you've got as well as you can. But realistically, if we lose that Old Firm game on the 1st of September, playing largely the same squad as last season, that is not Clement's fault. That is the board's fault. That is the fact that we haven't had the money to buy in new players. We can all see that those players aren't good enough to beat Celtic because at this moment in time, as bad as Celtic are, and I don't really want to talk about what they've done in transfer business or their pre-season, I'm not interested. What I am interested in is Rangers, where we are as a club, where we move as a club. And if you've got the same players that have the same mental scarring, the same issues going up against Celtic that we've had for the last 2, 3, 4 seasons, you're going to be in a position where you're automatically behind the 8 ball. You're automatically struggling. And for me, unless we bring in players, unless we actually bring in players, which we cannot do until we sell, then Clement is fighting a battle with one hand tied behind his back. You can't hold him to account for that. That is not his fault. That is the board's fault. That is Ross Wilson's fault. That is the past management of this club and the past transfer policies of this club that are to blame for the situation we're in, not Philippe Clement. And we have to back the manager. I admire the manager so much for coming out and saying what he said, for having the balls to come out and say, we haven't got any money. We've got to sell before we buy. I'm sure the board are absolutely fuming about that. I'm sure they are because they know the flack they're going to get from it. But all respect to him. All respect. Airwolf says, where does Lamas go now? Great question. Now, the issue obviously is there that FC Utrecht have pulled out of any deal to get Lamas because they can't afford his wages of £22,000 a week is what he wants. That's what he's on at Rangers. And look, you can criticise Lamas and whatever and say he's a rubbish player and he's not a great player. He's all right in the Eredivisie, but he's not great in Scotland. But if someone's paying me 22 grand a week and someone else wants me to go there and they're going to give me 15 grand a week, I'm not moving. I'm not taking a £7,000 pay cut. Not when some other idiot's going to pay me 22 grand a week until 2027 for the next 3 years. I'm not moving until somebody matches my wages. You wouldn't in your job. If I came to you in your job and said, right, come and work for me instead, but you're going to get 5 grand a week less, you'd go, no, I'm not coming. Don't be so stupid, Owen. Clear off. And I think, also, Alkmaar have just signed Troy Parrott from Spurs. I think it's a hilarious name. Feyenoord have said they don't want him. So at the moment, there are no buyers for Lamas. Now, the issue we've got around Sam Lamas is this. At this moment in time, we're being lowballed because everyone knows we want to get rid of him. Everybody knows we're desperate to sell him. Everyone knows that Lamas is surplus to requirements at Rangers. So, if people are going to come in, they're not going to come in with substantial bids for him because they know we don't want him. The fact that we've put him in the B team, we're not playing him, we're not using him, we've said we're not going to play him. Clubs are not going to come in and bid £3.5, £4, £5 million for him. They're going to say, well, 2 million, take it or leave it. 1.5 million, take it or leave it, because we know you don't want him. So that's the issue we've got. Stephen Stewart says, no, I think the real reason Bisgrove left is because the board have no vision to take this club forward, mate, taking us backwards now. The whole board must take responsibility. Without a doubt, they are collectively responsible. I agree. The problem with Rangers review, etc., they're moderated by the club, and scrutiny seems to be a big no-no. Grow Scotland, I can't possibly comment on that. I don't know what the score. Obviously, I don't have any. I haven't got media access to the club. I'm never going to get media access to the club. I'm too outspoken. I'm too unpopular. Everyone. Look, you all know that I think I'm right in saying I'm probably the most hated man on Rangers YouTube. I know that other podcasts hate me with a passion because they don't answer me, they don't talk to me, they don't have anything to do with me at all. So, look, at the end of the day, I can't comment. But yes, if you have media access, there will be certain rules and regulations you have to follow to maintain that media access. Now, Dessa said he wants to stay. What do you think will happen with him? If he wants to stay, moving him on is going to be very difficult indeed. The issue is this: he doesn't want to go. If he doesn't want to go, then Danilo, Dessers, and Igman are our centre forwards going into next season. We're not going to buy. We play one up front. We've got 3 strikers. They're not going to buy anybody else. So if Dessers stays, and I think us buying a striker was solely dependent on Cyril Dessers leaving. I don't think if we keep Dessers, there is any opportunity to actually go out and buy a striker. And I hear what people say. Dessers scored 22 goals last season. He scored 16 in the league. He scored the rest of them. He scored 6, therefore, in the rest of the competitions. But I have major reservations about Cyril Dessers. Yeah, he scored 22. He scored 22 for Rangers. So he bloody should. The majority of he scored 1 goal in Europe. So 21 of his goals came domestically. Now, I'm not being funny, but you should be scoring 25, 30 goals a season with Rangers. The amount of chances that we create against substandard teams in Scotland, you should be scoring 20, 25, 30 goals a season. He got 1 goal in Europe, that one against Betis. He was absolutely awful against Benfica. He was awful against PSV. His misses in key times: 2 against Ross County, 4 against Hearts, 1 at Parkhead. I could go on. Cost us points. To me, he's too unreliable. And the fact that he got 22 goals, well, 21 of those came domestically. And I'm not being funny. When we're creating 20, 30 chances a game, you should be scoring. As Chris Boyd said, as a Rangers striker, if you are not scoring 25, 30 goals a season, you are failing as a Rangers striker because of the amount of chances we create for strikers. It's a fact. Go and look at some of those chance creation. Ross County at home, 45 chances created. 45 chances created. Can't keep sacking managers. Would love to know what Clement was told transfer-wise in October. Airwolf, wouldn't we all love to know what Clement was told in October? And the other thing I think we need to look at is, how does this damage the club's reputation with other managers? The fact that Clement was clearly told one thing and then something else is true of that, shows the board have told him have spun him a certain story to get him to sign a contract. Now, the issue there is other managers will look at that, and if this board are still in place when we come to appoint another manager, they're going to say, well, I don't believe you. I don't believe what you're telling me. I don't believe what you're telling me as regards contracts, as regards players, as regards money available, because you lied to your last manager. You misled your last manager. So why should I believe you now? And they are damaging their own reputation. They're damaging the reputation of the club as well. So I think that is a big thing we need to do. Do you think Rangers done a cost analysis when the delay was announced? Would it cost to buy the product in the UK versus the cost of all delay, stadium hire, reputational damage? No, they wouldn't have done that sort of. They may have inserted clauses, Darren, into the contract as regards delays. So there may be penalty clauses in contracts. I know that with certain industrial developments, companies do insert penalty clauses in terms of finish dates. So there may be penalty clauses, but there is no way they would have factored into the cost analysis delays or renting other stadiums, because they would have been told that the expectation is that Ibrox will be finished for the first home game of the season in September. That in August, they would have been told that the game that we would be able to play at home against Motherwell and against Ross County, they would have been told there was no worry about getting it done. So they wouldn't have factored in stadium hire, and they certainly wouldn't factor in reputational damage, because this board I think have failed a number of times to think about the damage that has been done to the reputation of our club. A turd is still a turd, says P. Curry. Ewan Minton says, if Lamas is staying now, let's play him like Utrecht did instead of Dessers, and let's see how it goes. What does everyone think? No point in having him sitting on the stand or in the bench. Got nothing to lose. I'll be honest with you, Ewan. You're right. Look, I think. Look, let's be honest about the situation. There are certain players at this club that we all believe, I think, that should be sold. Okay, I think Scott Wright. I think Lamas. I think Goldson, Davis, to some extent. We all think. I think 99% of fans think that they should be sold. Okay, I think there are other players like Kieran Dowell, Tom Lawrence, James Tavernier, those sorts of Rabbi Matondo that people think should be sold, and some think we should be keeping them. Okay, there are still people who want to have kept. That is their right to their opinion on that one. There are people who want Tom Lawrence kept. There are people who want Tom Lawrence sold. But the issue we've got is that we are stuck with this squad. We are stuck with what we've got. If no one comes in and buys James Tavernier, if no one comes in and buys Connor Goldson, if no one comes in and buys Sam Lammers, if no one comes in and buys Scott Wright, if no one comes in and buys, Kieran Dowell, then come the start of the season, we need to be using these players. They are Rangers players. They are being paid by Rangers to play football. Now, if we get to September and the window is closed and Lammers is still here, Dessers is still here, Goldson is still here, Tavernier is still here, Scott Wright is still here, then it would be an absolute folly for us to say, right, we're sticking you all on the B team. We're not even considering you. We're not playing you. Bye-bye. Just stay there. We're not even going to think about you. Because the problem we've got is we haven't got the depth of squad, because we need those players to play for us. So I think, if Lammers is still here, once the transfer window is closed, then to just stick him in the B team and forget all about him would be absolutely a joke. Probably he isn't going to be good enough. Probably he's not going to be up to the standard that we need him to be. But we're going to have to try him. We're going to have to use him, because the situation is that we don't have a massive number of players. We don't have the quality of player that we need. We need to use our full squad. If we're playing 3 times a week, 60, 65 games a season, Clement has already said that he's going to have to rotate. He's already said that certain players will not be playing 60, 65 games a season. He's already said that there's about 4 players in his squad who he feels could play 60, 65 games a season. One of those has been Jack Butland, no doubt. So we're going to have to use the full squad. So I think if Lammers is still here, unfortunately, we are going to have to take a look at how we can get the best out of him, because you cannot leave someone on 22 grand a week in the B team just kicking his heels. It's just not, a good thing. Dave King said this board would lead us into trouble. Correct. I'd love Dave King back. I think he's one of the few people who actually does care about the club. 100% back the manager. I don't trust the board, says Stephen. Loan back somewhere in Holland, probably like you talk about Lamas, possible. I just don't think a loan is good for this club. Park's son has voting rights. He does, and that's disgusting. The Park family is still involved in our club. It's awful. Rangers are moving further back every season, and the board are a joke, ruining our club, says Janet. This is like a big steaming jobby that won't flush. What a colourful image that is. No, we tell Dessers to fuck and leave now. The problem is that if no one wants him and no one's prepared to beat the valuation, we're stuck with him. Really stuck with him. You're hated because you don't cut any shite. This club's letting us down, all but someone that nobody wants to call out the club directly. Stephen, I don't think Clement even trusts the board. Yeah, I don't think he does. I'll be absolutely honest. Thank you so much to Mo Johnston, who's gifted a further 5 member things. So please, obviously, if you haven't got a membership, please get one. Hey Scott, Scott here. I'm good, mate. How are you? Guys, remember to check out the Rangers Journal if you're not subscribed to the Rangers Journal. Fantastic podcast, great content, brilliant stuff on there. There was the Advocate stuff tonight. They do great analysis on players. They do great podcasts, great discussions. Check out the Rangers Journal. Brilliant channel, guys. Give it a subscribe. It's phenomenal. If you haven't checked it out, please go and check it. I think the club is very hard to deal with in terms of transfers. I do agree. My comments getting taken down for saying Lammers to the Knackers yard. I didn't see your comment, mate. I didn't see your comment. Sorry, Mo. I do apologise. I did not see your comment. I'm scrolling back through now and I can't see it. unless one of the mods has deleted it. I haven't deleted it, so I do apologise, Mo, if you haven't. That comment didn't come up. I have one problem with your opinions. They're like arseholes, and most I feel like crap. Lol. Vinnerman says, crazy off-topic question from an American fan. What's your opinion of Rangers and Celtic playing in the EPL? I'm sure this has been beaten to death, but a whole new revenue stream would be massive. Look, I'll be honest with you, Vinman from America. Whereabouts in America are you, buddy? Are you a big NFL fan, big NHL fan? Let me know. Look, I think that Rangers and Celtic playing in the EPL would be brilliant. I think it would be absolutely brilliant. I think that the problem with Scotland is that it is a very much a limited market. The TV deals appear as shit because the only games that anybody wants to watch are Rangers Celtic games. The only money that comes into Scotland is through Rangers and Celtic. The only success that is had in Europe comes through Rangers. I think that if we went down to England, I think initially that we would struggle because this squad is not a squad that could compete in the EPL. I think give it 3-4 years with Premier League money, with the amount of money the Premier League clubs get, with the revenue streams, the TV deals, with the sponsorship deals. That's another massive issue. The problem here, Vidman, is I could do a whole 20-25 minutes on Scotland, on Celtic and Rangers. I'm trying to just summarise this very shortly and quickly for you. I think within 3-4 years, Celtic and Rangers would compete in the Premier League because of the amount of money that they would bring in. You know, the fact that Rangers would sell out their ground week in, week out, the fact that people would be more attracted to come to play for Rangers and Celtic because of, you know, the fact we're in the Premier League playing Man United, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Aston Villa, teams like that. I think the revenue streams would be huge. And I think it would take 3 to 4 seasons with us being successful. The other issue, of course, is around politics because of all the nationalism and all that in Scotland and the SM. There's just so much complication around it, mate. I would love us to play in the Premier League. I'd love us to play in the Premier League, but I don't think it'll ever happen. Genuinely don't think it'll ever happen. I mean, if we get halfway through the season and still not close the gap to the Wankers, then we can't blame Big Phil for it. No, we can't. We cannot. You think Clement and the board are on collision course? Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I would not blame him if he walked. I would genuinely not blame him if he walked. Now, people have said we can't afford to. I think one of the things is we can't afford to sack him because we'd have to pay him off. He's on a 5-year deal. I'm sure the salary that he's on is substantial, so we probably can't afford to sack him. But if he walks, then we don't have to pay him. If you leave your job, if you resign, the company don't have to pay you. So I wouldn't blame him if he walked. If he got really frustrated and really uptight about the whole thing and just walked away from it, saying I don't need this hassle, I don't need to stress. But there we go. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I think they could well be. Vinman is a Buffalo Bills fan. Oh man, Josh Allen got no one to throw to this year, Vinman, has he? Josh Allen, superstar quarterback with no one to throw to. Not your opinion, mate. I think yours. Thank you very much. Toombs Crip says we'd have to start in League 2 in England. Can't see them letting us and Celtic in the Championship. Like I said, I think that's I'm going to try and avoid that. It is a whole other topic and where we'd start, where you'd have to begin. Honestly, yeah. You're an Eagles fan, Paul. I'm a Steelers fan, mate. I'm a Steelers fan. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, Clement is on a 5-year deal, and that's what I read somewhere, that he was on a 5-year deal at Rangers. That he signed a 5-year contract. I think that the problem is, to be honest with you, that any manager given a long-term deal is ridiculous. I think the way Manchester City approach it, in terms of giving players and managers rolling contracts of 1-year contracts, then I think that's probably the best way forward, if I'm being honest with you. There's nothing on Transfer Market at all about his contract, actually, about the length of his deal. No, there's nothing on there. That's where I get most of my information from as regards contract lengths. Darren says, don't say that. Clement walks. We have McInnes stepping in on a shoestring. Back 7 years. Why is our club like this? Darren, it's a sad state of affairs. It is a real sad state of affairs. And what gets me, my friend, is that we are totally playing into the stereotype that lot across the city so about us, that we've got no money, that we're skint, etc., etc. You know, they're loving it at the moment. They're absolutely... it's 4 years. Thank you very much. 4 years the deal is. There we go. 4-year deal. Man City can't fill their ground every 2 weeks. The only teams that do is Rangers and Celtic. They're loyal to their club. They do fill their club. I mean, Man United fill their stadium Liverpool fill their stadium. Thanks, Rangers. It's 4-year deal. There we go. 4 years left on his deal. So look, I think where we're at the moment, guys, we're in trouble at the moment. You know, I think the problem we've got is that we need to buy players. We need better players. You know, I will back this squad and I will back this manager to the hilt next season once the season gets underway. You know, once we start that season on the 3rd of August against Hearts, we will back this squad no matter who they are, no matter which players are out there, because we know and we understand now that it's not their fault that we haven't been able to strengthen. It's the board's fault. It's the fact we can't move players on. It's the past history of this club. It's the past transfer history, the past market mismanagement of this club by the board, by the directors of recruitment, etc., etc. So for me, you know, we have to support them, but we have to support the manager. We have to support the players because they're in a position where they're in a no-win position because they haven't been given the tools to do the job. Clement, like I said, he's fighting a losing battle, isn't he? Thierry says, with Kelly's performance against Ajax, would you feel more comfortable about letting Butland go? No. Not at this moment in time, Thierry. Not unless we see a consistent level of performance from Kelly. I'm not saying Liam Kelly's a bad goalkeeper. I think Kelly's a good goalkeeper. Whether he's starting quality for a whole season, I don't know. Yes, he did pull off some brilliant saves, but it's a one-off pre-season game. For me, you'd have to do that over a period of time. Jack Butland has made mistakes. Of course he has. The one in the cup final, the one against Ajax. But the issue is that when a keeper makes a mistake, it is so much more glaring than when an outfield player makes a mistake. If a centre-back makes a mistake, which our centre-backs do on a regular basis, someone can often bail them out. The keeper, another centre-back covering round, a full-back covering round, or whatever. When a keeper makes a mistake, it tends to be glaring. It tends to cause a goal. So I wouldn't, at this moment in time, no, Thierry, feel any more comfortable with that. It's horrible to watch our club falling apart under these people who have only self-interest at heart and no Rangers. Agreed. Rangers 55 says, how are we going to get rid of some of these high-paid losers, Owen? Honestly, don't know. Honestly, mate, don't know. The problem we've got is this, and this is what I tried to put across on that comment I put up on the Rabble earlier. Let's take, for example, Connor Goldson. Right, so Connor Goldson is under contract with Rangers until 2026. Right, he's on £38,000 a week. Right, we want to sell him, okay? Because we've decided that he's not good enough for us. That we've decided that he's getting old, he's slowing down, he's not the same player he was 5 years ago, etc. Now, as a club in England, as a club on the continent, you sit and you look at the situation that you need a centre back. You sit and you look at the situation. You look at the centre backs that could be available. You look and see, oh, Rangers are willing to let Connor Goldson go. So you look at Connor Goldson and you think, well, hang on a minute. They're saying he's not good enough for them. They're saying that he's not good enough to play in their league. So is he good enough to come and play in our league? Right, what's he on? He's got 2 years left on his deal. He's on 38 grand a week. But we're not going to pay him 38 grand a week. The most we're going to pay him is 20 grand a week. Now, Connor Goldson's going to sit there and go, well, if you're going to give me 20 grand a week and I'm on 38 grand a week, I'm not going to take an 18 grand pay cut. Now, you can't get rid of these players unless somebody wants them or their contract comes to an end. That's the only two ways you can get rid of a player, is by A, selling him, or B, by his contract ending. We can't afford to pay Goldson's contract off, because if we try and pay his contract off, you've got to pay up the full contract. Well, we haven't got the money to do that, because that's more money going out the club. So getting rid of these high-paid losers, Rangers 55, is an exceptionally hard thing to do unless somebody comes in and bids for them and bids an acceptable value that Rangers actually want, and it's not a piss-take value. Then we are stuck with these players until that happens. Raskin, we don't know the full extent of his injury. It's hardly his fault, mate. He was taken out viciously from behind. I mean, that tackle on him in a friendly is absolutely disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. It was an awful tackle. It was a scissor tackle from behind. Kelly had 2 world-class saves against Ajax. He did, Hugh. 2 excellent saves. 100%. Trying Scotsman says, Liam Kelly is nowhere near the quality of Jack Butland. A few mistakes doesn't change that fact. Agreed on that one. Any word on rescues and injury? Not yet. Not at the moment, mate. We're on to they've had the results of the scan. Unfortunately, it's not that simple, mate. Hey, Owen, how you doing? How you doing? Blue Horizon, good to have you here. Surely he won't just sit there just to get money. Robert, the problem is they do these days. They will. Look, players players on the whole these days are not bothered that they're not playing football, because at the end of the day, if someone is paying you a massive amount of money, you'd be stupid not to take it. You'd be stupid to walk away from that huge deal. If Goldson doesn't get what he wants, if he doesn't get a move that he wants to somewhere he wants to go for an acceptable contract value, he's going to sit, he's going to stay, because he's going to get 38 grand a week for the next 2 years, whether he plays or whether he doesn't play. And unfortunately, unfortunately, you can think what you want about Connor Goldson. He's got to think about his family. He's got to think about his future. He's got to think about his kids. And he doesn't want to take an 18 grand a year pay cut. He doesn't want to take a 20 grand a year pay cut. He doesn't want to lose, over £2 million. That's the issue. So look, that's the problem. That is the big problem we've got. Yes, Rangers 55. He was an absolute joke. He was just letting things go, and then he started dishing out cards right, left, and centre. He was just awful. Why didn't we talk with Bill Foley when he was? I don't know, mate. I don't know. Has anyone seen that interview on? There's an interview doing the rounds at the moment with I don't know if it's Bill Foley or someone saying that he got something like 14 of the richest Scotsmen in America together and was going to buy Rangers, but then decided after someone told him he'd be the most hated man in Europe that he wouldn't want to buy Rangers in the end. Really interesting video. I'll put the link to it in the description. Why don't we talk about it? Okay, Janet says. Robert just don't see Goldson leaving, but he does. But can he see it? I just, at the end of the day, like I said to you, if you're being paid a huge amount of money, why would you walk away? Why would you leave? Why would you just walk away from that massive amount of money? I just can't see it happening, guys. I just genuinely cannot see it happening. I honestly believe that this club is in a position where we are going to be stuck with these players because of, and it's not so much the players' fault, it is the fault of Ross Wilson, Stuart Robertson, Douglas Park, John Bennett, who signed off on these contracts, who gave these contracts to these players. At the end of the day, we're in a bad position. We're in a very bad financial position because of the fact that the windows have been massively mismanaged for the last few seasons. We've gone through a situation where we're in a constant state of flux, a constant state of rebuild. Managers that have been given money have wasted the money. The contracts that have been given out to these players we've signed have been huge and of long-term huge contracts, which have saddled us with these players that we are now stuck with. I think we finally got someone in charge in Niels Koppen and Philippe Clement, who have a very clear vision of what it takes to be a success, of how to manage contracts, of how to develop a team, of how to develop a squad, of how to build a trading model, of how to take a club forward. But they're doing it with one hand tied behind their back because of the mismanagement of the club from previous time. I worry. I really do worry. Get King back, please. I would love Dave King back. I would love him back. Do you know anything about this boy Jordan from Sevilla? We're trying to sign on loan. So what do I know about this lad Jordan that we're kind of signed? So he is a defensive midfielder. Sevilla want to get him off their payroll. If it's a loan deal, Sevilla are only prepared to pay 50% of his salary. Rangers wanted them to pay more. Sevilla said no. That's why the contract that fell through at that stage. There are Greek clubs as well interested in him, as well as Rangers. He is an experienced guy, played a lot of football in La Liga. The concern would be that he's Rangers 55, that he's 30 years old, that it's not a loan with an option to buy, that he would cost £29,000. If it's a 50-50 split in wages, we pay £29,000 a week to him. He's had no experience of playing outside Spain, and as we know, Spain, England, and Scotland, very different leagues. So I don't know. I'm skeptical about it. Skeptical about that one. Kenny McLean is off to Sheffield United, apparently. That's what I've heard tonight, that Sheffield United have signed Kenny McLean for £1.2 million. When Goldson's contract ran out last time, nobody wanted him. Why did Rangers offer him 38 grand a week? Did Stevie Wonder offer him that? Ewan, it's what I've said on videos, mate. It's what I've said. Why would you give him a huge contract like that when there's no competition? If you wanted to keep that, let's say, for example, someone from down south came in and said to Goldson, we want you. Here's 35 grand a week. Come and sign for us. And Rangers were like, shit, man, we want to keep him. We're desperate. Right, Connor, there's 38 grand a week. Will you sign with us? I could understand that. I could get that. But with there being no competition for his signature, I don't understand why you would offer a player such a massive deal. To me, you go in and say, right, nobody else wants you. You've got no other offers on the table, or any offers you have are not what you want. Here's 20 grand a week, or here's 22 grand a week. You certainly wouldn't give him that. I don't understand that. I don't understand it in the slightest, Ewan. If Red Bull were to come in and buy Rangers but wanted to change the name of Ibrox, would you be happy for that? That's the question, mate. That's the question. That is a hell of a question, my friend. That is a hell of a question. Wow. Let's put a poll out. Let's put a poll out on that one. That's a difficult one. That's a difficult one. I'm going to put a poll up. The question is here: would you be happy with changing the name of Ibrox for sponsor money? Yes or no? So let's have a look, shall we? What's your opinions on that one? What's your opinions, guys? Let's have a look. So we're gonna put that. I'm gonna launch that poll now. The poll is up now. So vote in the poll, guys. Would you be happy changing the name of Ibrox for sponsor money? Most of you loved Charles Green when he was at Ibrox. I think he is a bad deal. We definitely need new investors in the club. We do, Stephen. We do need to get some money into the club. I don't know, mate. I don't know whether we come back or not. I mean, do you think we would go down the loan route again? As I know, to be honest with you, Janet, I think that is the only way we can go at this. No, not changing the name of the team, trying Scotsman, just the name of the stadium. Janet, I think that's the way we're going to have to go. If there is no more money for players and there is no money to sign players, then you're going to have to look at loans, cheap loans. We're also you're going to have to look at free agents. You're going to have to look at players who are coming to the end of their contracts. You're going to have to look at deals like that, because if there is no money, then you've got to look for freeze, because that's the only way you can get those players in. Yes, there are perhaps signing on fees, contract fees, etc., loan fees to pay, but they are a lot less than having to pay £3, £4, £5 million for a player. Unfortunately, that is the way it's going to have to go. I do think that it will be loans. I genuinely do, if we're going to bring anyone else in between now and the end of the window, unless, of course, we raise a substantial amount of money through that. It's brand new board. We do need a brand new board with new money. Red Bull, one of the club name change though. The only issue is trying Scotsman. They've just invested in Leeds, something like 40 million in Leeds, but they haven't changed the name to Red Bull Leeds United or anything like that. So I don't think necessarily, unless they buy the club lock, stock and barrel, that they would expect the name to be changed. That's my thoughts on it anyway. So what have we got here in the poll so far? 59% of you said yes, you would be happy with Ibrox changing its name for sponsor money. 41% of you said no, you would not want to change the name of the stadium for sponsorship money. Scott's Viking says, do we even have money for wages for new players without letting people go first? That's a brilliant question, says Scott's Viking. Do we have that money? You know, where's that money coming from? A great question. I think the answer is probably no. I think the answer is probably no, given the fact that, you know, Philippe Clement has said that that we have no money to buy players. And when you buy a player, it's not just the transfer fee you've got to put in place. You know, it's the transfer fee, it's the signing on fee, it's the wages, the bonuses, and everything else you have to put in place. You've got to demonstrate you've got the money for that. Have we got the money for that? I doubt it. I doubt it. Vinman says, many other teams have: Juventus, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Leverkusen. Yeah, absolutely. They've all renamed their stadiums. The Emirates, Highbury obviously was the old ground. They've now got the Emirates Stadium, which is a massive. The Etihad, Manchester City Stadium. I think Old Trafford hasn't changed its name. Liverpool hasn't changed it. Anfield is still Anfield. So there are some teams that will not change the name of their stadium. Camp Nou is still the Camp Nou, etc., etc. The stadium name changes only for a few seasons. Of course, we take the millions, says Blue Horizon. If Red Bull came in and wanted to change the name, would it matter? It will always be Ibrox to us fans. Correct. Anyway, we'd simply call it Ibrox as everyone else would. That's the truth. That's the truth of the matter, mate. Blue Horizon, 100%. I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Massive Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Their ground, it was called Hein Field. For years, called Hein Field. It was sponsored by Heinz, you know, the tomato ketchup company and the soup company and all that. Acrisure, an insurance company, bought the stadium. It became Acrisure Stadium. most of us Steeler fans still refer to it as Hein Field. We still refer to it as Hein Field. We couldn't afford Harry Suter in January. We couldn't. Absolutely not. Good. Thank you, Caleb. Thanks for coming back, buddy. At the end of the day, to the fans, it would be Ibrox no matter what. Yeah, that's the truth of the matter. Unless it's a brand new ground like the Emirates, like the Etihad. James, we're going to get to that. I love that. Unless it's a brand new ground that's just been built, then yeah, it's always going to be that traditional name. If Arsenal had stayed at Highbury and allowed it to be sponsored by the Emirates, it would have always been Highbury to the fans. It would never have been the Emirates Stadium or the Emirates Highbury. It would have been Highbury Stadium, wouldn't it? If Tottenham had stayed at White Hart Lane, it would have been White Hart Lane, and so on and so on. James, Iron Brew Ibrox Stadium. Yes, all day, Owen. There we go. We'd love it. They'd love it. I wonder who the fans would like to buy the club, says Stephen. Good question. The problem is, Stephen, we don't know who's out there. We don't know who's got money. We don't know who wants to spend money on the club. We don't know who wants to buy football clubs. That's the problem, isn't it? You know, there might be some American billionaire out there that wants to invest in Scottish football with Scottish heritage. Hell, Donald Trump, if he doesn't become president, maybe he wants to become... Let's say, if Donald Trump doesn't win the presidency in 2024, Donald, come and buy Rangers. Yeah, we won't shoot at you. Let's face it, if Cyril Dessers shoots it, you'll miss anyway. Did anyone see that hilarious meme that someone put out on Facebook that apparently the shooter was Cyril Dessers? There we go. Thank you so much, Ewan. That's very, very welcome, and that's fantastic. £5 super sticker. Thank you so much, Ewan. Big Don the Prob. Yeah, absolutely. Saying like the Glazers. No, we wouldn't want the Glazers involved with the club. Absolutely not. Not with the mess they've made of Manchester United. Look, we're going into this week. Okay, so this week we play Leeds United tomorrow in a behind closed doors friendly. It's an under 21 versus our B team game. By all accounts, it'll be interesting to see who we play. I'm sure there'll be updates on X. And then obviously we build towards the game on Saturday, Manchester United at Murrayfield. I think, look, Manchester United won't bring a full strength team. They lost 1-0 to Rosenborg today. I was watching a bit of the watch along with Mark Goldbridge. I watch a lot of I like Mark Goldbridge. I've got a massive amount of time for Mark Goldbridge. I love Mark Goldbridge. That's my aspiration, is to be the Rangers version of Mark Goldbridge. But not that I've got his personality or talent, but you know, that's what I'd love to be. But you know, they'll bring a mixed team. I think, you know, you may see some first teamers in there, but you won't see, you know, I don't think you'll see the likes of Rashford. You won't see Rasmus Højlund. You won't see Garnacho. You won't see Onana. You won't see Harry Maguire, who I think is still injured. You know, you're not going to see Alessandro Martinez, who's away with Argentina. So you're not going to see those players. But I think they'll still bring a decent team. You could see Amad Diallo, obviously, who used to play for Rangers for that short loan spell that he was here. I think was criminally misused. So, you know, we will see a fairly decent team. It'll be a good test at Murrayfield, and I'm looking forward to it. And we will be bringing you a live watch along on Saturday from here. So please come and join us. We would need big money investment whose aim is European success. Sadly, the money in Scotland and the TV deal are worth nothing, so finding investors will be hard. Also, Alan Kincaid, good point. Yeah, you're right. 100% right, buddy. I think, you know, that if you bring in an investor from outside, his target has to be Champions League football, has to be progression in the Champions League, has to be progression to the knockout stages, progression at least one round in the knockout stages to raise the money to get back his investment. You know, you're looking at what, 60-70 million pounds. The Champions League winners make an awful lot of money. It's an absolute gravy train, the Champions League. We know that the Champions League is a huge gravy train. It always has been. It always will be a massive gravy train. So yeah, any investor comes in from outside, he's gonna want European success, or she is gonna want European success. Sorry, because at the end of the day, that is the only way you make money. Because as you say, you know, and as you rightly say, the money that you can make in Scottish football is not enough. You know, the TV deal that the SFA signed with Sky is paltry. The amount of money that is available in Scottish football is just not there. The sponsors don't want to pay as much as, you know, they pay English teams, as they pay Spanish teams, as they pay German teams, because at the end of the day, the product that is on the field, other than Rangers and Celtic, I'm sorry to say that, is not up to standard. So you're not going to have a situation where they will spend a vast amount of money. So you are 100% correct on that one, Alan. Next thing will be a Red Bull patch with a Red Bull stitched on our jerseys, mate. If they're going to give us 50-60 million, I'd take it. Yeah, maybe see Rashford. He did play today. He did. Surprise big money folks never knew this. Rashford, Casemiro and Wan-Bissaka play for Man United today. So we could see some decent players. Rashford played today, plus Casemiro and Johnny Evans, plus Wan-Bissaka. That was the only first-team players for Man United. Yeah, I mean, that's all you might see on Saturday is players like that. Or, you may see, like I said, Diallo. You may see McTominay if he's back from his holiday. You may see some of those players. But I don't think you're going to see a squad that is stuffed full of international talent because, like I said, a lot of them are away at the Euros still. They still haven't really done any business. So, Johnny Evans is obviously Northern Ireland international, Northern Ireland legend. So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, it'll be what it'll be. It'll be a good test, and it'll be interesting to see what team Rangers play. The biggest one for me on Saturday is going to be, is Tav playing? Is Cantwell back? What's happening with them? If Tav and Cantwell aren't playing on Saturday, aren't a part of the squad at least, then more questions are going to be asked, aren't there? It's going to leave massive amounts of questions to be answered by this board, by the manager about those players. It really is. Ajax kids beat us. I wonder if Manuel will do the same. I just hope we at least try against Man United, friendly or no. I'm sure there'll be an effort there. Janet from the players. A lot of the players, if some of these new signings play, like Oscar Cortez, like Jeff Hefte, like Barron, like Nsiala get some game time, I think they will try because they'll want to show that they're worth a place in the first team. I think if we use the kids like Alex Lowry, Cole McKinnon, I think again you'll see people wanting to try, wanting to show the manager that they're worth a place in the first team. They're worth taking a risk on. Alex Lowry for me has looked good when he's come on. I like Alex Lowry. I don't think that with Alex Lowry the talent is in question. I think he's a very talented footballer. I think the only question, obviously, is whether he can transfer that onto the field. For me, success. I think, if we can get Lowry up to speed, he'll be a good addition to the squad this season. Then any fans twat said Maynard looks like manure, racist piece of shit. I like Kobe Maynard. I think Kobe Maynard is a very, very good player. Very good player, Caleb. I think he was probably one of the best England players that we saw over the tournament. So yeah, Kobe Mainoo is a very good footballer. For me, right now, we are weaker than we were. We are. There's not even a debate, Blue Horizon. We are very much weaker than where we were the last couple of seasons. 4 o'clock, Janet. It's a 4 o'clock kickoff for that game. So the poll currently says 64% of you would be happy with Ibrox changing its name for money. Interest. 59% of you now saying that. Let's bring that poll to a close for now. Kobe is so good. We sold 5 for me in Spain. Yeah, I mean, look, let's have a look. Let's bring up what we've got left. Let's have a look at the ties we've got left. Let's go on to Google. Let me see if I can share the screen with you, bring it up for you, and show you the fixtures that we have left going into the game. And we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up on the channel as well, just to finish off the podcast. Okay, so let's try and bring this up on screen. Let's try and share this with you. Share screen. Google, share. A lot of buttons to click. Okay, so here is the. Let's have a look if I can try and share this with you. I'm hoping to bring this up, share this with you. Oh shit! It's all going horribly wrong. There we go. Okay, so games that we've got the Man United game, Rangers Man United at Murrayfield. It's a 4 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, guys. We will be bringing you a live watch along of that game here on the channel. So please come and join me on Saturday for that live watch along between 4 and 6 o'clock. We'll do a reaction as well on Saturday night. There'll be a reaction show Saturday night, so come and join us for that. So that's what we've got. So that's the first game. Then on the 24th of July, we've got the game against Birmingham City, the Trevor Francis Memorial game, 7:30 kickoff in Birmingham. There will be no live watch along for that game. However, I will be coming to you live at times from the match. I am going to be at the game. I have got a ticket. I am in the Rangers end. If you're at the game, please come and speak to me. Please come and talk to me. And if you want to be videoed and you want to be on the channel, I will quite happily do a video, talk to you, interview you, speak to you, and you can come onto the channel. Not a problem. Absolutely happy to do that. So I will be at that game. What else have we got then? The 27th, we've got Union Berlin away at 4 o'clock kickoff in Berlin. Again, that game will be here, live watch along on the channel. So please come and join me for that. Then we've got the first league game of the season, 12:30 against Hearts. Again, that will be live watch along here on the channel. So please come and join us for that. So out of the next 4 games, 3 of them will have live watch alongs. Rangers Motherwell even, sorry, at 3 o'clock on the 10th. Rangers versus Ross County at 3 o'clock. Both those games at Hampden Park on the 24th. And then the 1st of September, the first Old Firm game at Parkhead, 12:30 kickoff. Again, there will be a live watch along on the channel of that game. So that is what is coming up for us over the next few days and weeks. Stephen says we sold Bassi for 16 to 18 million, Aribo for 6 and Kamara for 6, and made the Europa League final. Would love to know what happened with that money because it hasn't been reinvested in the team. I think that maybe that money went to Edmiston House, sports bars, and etc. etc. Need that special coffee from 3 years ago. All the best, mate. Bassi, 19 million was 11 million. No idea about Kamara. What else have we got here in the thing? Still Blue Horizon. Where's that cash went? Into somebody's pocket. Probably has. But look, guys, that's where we're up to. That's what's coming up on the channel over the next few days. You know what? The best way to make sure you never miss out is to hit the sub and then ring the notification bell. So whenever we go live, whenever there's a new video, you will always see that in your stream and it'll be brought up for you. So you never go out and you miss out. Apologies, I've had to cancel a few lives recently. Had a few family things going on, a few personal problems. At this moment in time, I still suffer from time to time with really bad anxiety attacks. I really do suffer with anxiety. I have anxiety. I do suffer with anxiety attacks at times, and they sometimes stop me from doing things. So I do apologise. Yeah, prime time. I'll be doing some. I won't be live for the entire game, mate, because my phone will die. But I will be doing some live bits before the game, during half time, and during the game. So yeah, please come and join me for that. Right, guys, I'm going to call that a pod for tonight. Thank you to everyone who has joined us. Thank you so much to Ewan Minton for being a member for 13 months and for his £5 super sticker. Thank you so much to Stephen Gillespie for his 10 memberships. And thank you to Mo for the 5 memberships that were gifted. All those really help in running the channel, guys. They help so much. Every time you do a super chat, a super sticker, a super thanks, it all helps to run the channel. Thank you so much for your support. We are doing really well. We'll keep growing every day. Who owns Chelsea? Todd Bowley, Stephen Fay. Todd Bowley. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure as always. 2 things you can do for me on the way out. Please, number 1, smash that like. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.